Time now for sports on SSPTV News.
Hey everyone, remember this guy? Well, Dino Oberto is here and changes abound in NASCAR, and right here now it is Keeping Track with Dino Oberto, and that's the name of your column in the Standard Speaker as well. So everything will be uniform when you read him in the Standard Speaker. That's what you will be looking out for. And Dino, the Daytona 500 just happened. There was a lot of excitement around it. I'm not a huge NASCAR guy, but when I watched, all of a sudden I was watching highlights of stages, and I was like, what happened here? You said there's been some interesting reaction to this new racing format for NASCAR, where it's what, in 3 stages of the race?
3 stages for all of their top-tiered divisions, the Cup cars, the Xfinity cars, and the trucks. And over the off-season, I guess NASCAR, which has a habit of reinventing itself whenever their ratings seem to be kind of slipping a little bit, which they have, especially last year. So the powers that be down at Daytona Beach, which is the headquarters of NASCAR, came up with this concept of how do we make this more exciting? They tried that last year by a win-and-you're-in deal to get into the playoffs. So that worked okay, but now they took it a step further and they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to break up these races in so-called stages. So they'll run X amount of laps, throw a checkered flag, and hand out championship points, or, playoff points towards the chase for the Cup and what have you in the other divisions. All right, that's fine. Then we're going to go to another stage, run X amount of laps, and then a final stage, and points being awarded each one of those. So they started that off Friday night with the trucks, and it was an immediate disaster. There was just carnage from the word go. They were racing as though each lap were the last lap, and just people were wrecking and spinning and crashing. The following day, Saturday, the Xfinity race, pretty much the same scenario. It goes into overtime. The stages were very wild as well. And then on Sunday for the 500, which everybody was anticipating, and they had a sellout crowd for that thing too, which was pretty cool for them. But they got through the first stage okay, which was at the end of 60 laps. But right after that, pretty much the bottom dropped out, and cars were wrecking and crashing, and there was a lot of tempers being flared, and as you saw in the end, it came down to a fuel mileage race, but there was something like only 14 cars basically running in the lead pack. Everybody else that was out there that survived was a lap or 2 or 3 down, and Kurt Busch was able to win. Afterwards and throughout the race, I was following social media, which NASCAR is very big on, and man, there was not a lot of happy campers out there, to say the least. So I think right at this point, it's a work in progress. I'm sure they're sitting down and crunching those numbers, and there's going to be some changes. Another thing, Kenny, they have this new deal. It's called a 5-minute clock. In the event that you wreck on track, come into the pits, they're going to put this 5-minute clock on you to repair your car. You can only do X amount of work to that. You got to get back out on the track. The clock is still ticking. While you're on the track, you must race up to a minimum speed that they say you can go out and race and continue to race on. Once you get to that minimum speed that they're looking for, they'll stop the clock, and then that way you can reset and come in and do more repairs. But 5 minutes, I don't know exactly how much you can get done with that, so I think that's another piece of the puzzle that's going to take a look at. So it was interesting. There was, for some people, they thought it was exciting, but for a lot of others who want to see just the pure excitement of racing and racing hard, that element, it's kind of a fine line right now, and I'm sure next week in Atlanta you'll see some more of the same, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, when you talked about that 5-minute rule to me, you said, what are they going to do, tape together the cars? When I read the lead for the story about the Daytona 500, it said Kurt Busch's car was damaged in a wreck and held together with tape when he came around. So I know what's going on in the pits there. Now, Dino, locally, I was at Monster Jam on Friday night. This is my first experience with it. It was interesting, and these athletes, they showed them training just like any drivers. It was a Triple Threat Series East, and Tyler Menninga, you're going to hear from him. He drives Gravedigger, but what Triple Threat means is that they do ATV racing, they do some speedster racing, and then the monster trucks. So Menninga gets the win for Gravedigger. He now leads the points there. They take all the points leaders, I guess, in all the different series. They go to the World Championships. And here's what Tyler had to say to me before, actually, on Friday in rehearsal.
How similar is it to a car or a race car?
Honestly, it's just, you'd think 1,500 horsepower, it's a lot of horsepower, but it's also a lot of weight too. So for me, I mean, you can control the truck like you are driving a normal car on the road. It just, different people like to control it different ways. Some people can't control it. It depends on the person. But in my opinion, I feel like I can just control it like you're just your daily driver vehicle.
What do you drive? What's like your regular car?
2013 Chevy Silverado.
What a show, Dino. And you mentioned Monster Jam. They don't even really put themselves out there too much, but people love it. They flock to it. They do something right.
It's just amazing because, Kenny, you saw the place was packed, and the fans love that kind of stuff. It is exciting. And think about it. We're in this studio set here, and there's a pickup truck, basically, which is the monster truck, but twice the size of where we are right now, and they're inside the arena. And you've covered basketball, hockey, and things up there, and how do you get one of those guys to do the kind of things that they did inside that arena? Just amazing.
And, you know, we're going to feature them on Out of Left Field. And one of the things I said as I was watching them go around, because it is a small space, I said, yeah, it's great you're doing wheelies in this, but I'm more impressed how they parked the things in there in between each other and how they moved around. So that was quite incredible. All right, Dino, Oberto, you'll see him back here because we have a lot to talk about. You mentioned changes at Pocono races coming up for NASCAR, so there's a ton more to get to. Keep track with Dino right here on SSPTV and in the Standard Speaker.